Hello, my name's RetroJules and welcome to World of Tanks on Xbox One. This is my AMX 5120 Tier 9 French heavy tank, and the 120 stands for 120mm, which is the cannon that it carries. This heavy tank is an autoloader. It's a 4-shot autoloader. You've got 3 seconds between each shot, and then you've got about 33 seconds to reload your drum. But what this does enable you to do is to do 1600s worth of damage in 12 seconds. It's an accurate gun and it's got excellent penetration. The tank itself is very mobile for a heavy, and it can easily relocate, which is something you do quite a lot in this tank. On the back of the tank, on the back of the turret, the oscillating turret, is the autoloader assembly, and that is something that you need to keep protected, as this tank does get shot very easily side on and you get ammo racked quite often. Now, that's the good points about this tank. There's an awful lot of bad points, and being a French tank, it plays differently to any other tank. This tank is huge. It is massive, and it's a really big silhouette and a very big target out there on the battlefield. So you really can't afford to go across open areas unless you know it's really clear, so you do tend to hide as much as you can in this tank. Now, you may be looking at the sloped armour and the pike nose on the front of this tank and think, well, if I'm head on, surely I'm going to get lots of deflecting shots. Well, you won't, because the armour is only 100mm thick on the front, and at tier 9 that is just not enough, and you will not bounce anything in this tank. The reason this tank is so quick for a heavy is the fact that its armour is so light and thin, and any shot that hits this tank will go in. Now, as with the most French tanks, it's got a slow aim time and it's very poor at aiming on the move. And because you've got that oscillating turret, your gun elevation and depression is dreadful, and you will have to move this tank backwards and forwards and onto lumps just to try and get your reticle on your target. There are a few ways you can play this tank. You play it as a passive heavy, or you can play it as a heavy medium, or you can play it as a scavenger at the end of the game to mop up tanks on very little health with 1 shot each. On my tank, I'm carrying vertical stabilizers to improve the accuracy on the move, a wet ammo rack to keep my ammo rack damage down to an absolute minimum, and in fact it does actually stop it, because if you get ammo racked you've got about a minute of reload time on this tank. And I've got ventilation to basically improve everything else that I've got on this tank. So let's show you this tank in action. We're on the American highway. It's a tier 9 game, and we're a tier 9 French heavy tank. So that's a cracking start. Can't help thinking, what's the point of being a heavy tank if you're not at top tier? So in this game I'm going to play quite a passive role. It's a very open map, so I'm going to head straight for the city, where there's going to be more cover for me. Because if I head straight across the plain, I will not last 5 minutes. And we're nearly reloaded, we're nearly ready to play. So we popped one in the E75. Now I've got 6th Sense on this tank, and it's the only tank I own with 6th Sense. And I really need to use it more often on the other tanks, because it really does help your game. Especially if you're in a tank where you really don't want to get spotted. Now something is beeping me. I'm not sure what can see me, so I'm thinking it could be artillery, so I head under the bridge, just anticipating an overhead shot coming whistling in. And as you can see, I'm just sitting back, pretty much playing this tank as a tank destroyer, which is probably just as well, seeing as we've only got the one and they've got 3 on their team. Auto aim one into the T-71. Auto aim on the move. Bad idea. Your shells really are quite valuable because of your long reload, so you don't want to waste them and you don't want to miss, which is easier said than done. And a parked car blocks our shot into the E-75, and we actually bounce a shot. And I can only assume that's because it was a lower tier tank, because this tank does not bounce shells ever. So we're just going to sit back, look at this lovely silver birch in front of us while we reload. Long reload. And we're back in the game. And you can imagine if I was up front with our team with that 33-second reload, you're just asking for trouble. You're an unarmed target. So Mr. T-69, we need to get a shot in you, and we are going to make mincemeat out of you. Shot 1, shot 2, and we finish him off. And with the help of a shot from another tank, we easily finished him. And it's quite nice being in this spot where I can just keep rolling back and reloading, and staying out of trouble. Oh, we were too late.
Target locked.
So a shot in the T-54. Can we get another shot in? Yes, we can. Can we get another shot in? And no.
They found us.
And reversing into buildings is never a good thing to do when you're trying to get out of harm's way. So I'm heading back towards the base because I know there's a tank destroyer there, and that T-54 was heading in that direction.
The enemy knows our location.
I've just asked the artillery to follow me, to just sort of say, "Come on, mate, they're coming in. You might want to move." Now this is a tricky situation because I'm half loaded and I'm thinking I might want to face the next guys with a full drum. So I do choose to reload and hope that by the time I get to the action I'm reloaded again. But what you can do is keep sticking your reticle on the target because they don't know you're reloading, and just try and force them to back off. Right, Tier 9 SU, Russian tank destroyer, currently engaging our Yak Tiger. He sticks a lovely shot in, and we miss because we're not fully aimed, and we finish him off in the front, no problem at all. Another thing to be careful with this tank is it does fire quicker than it aims, and if you do shoot before you're aimed, no chance.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Bounced off the front, stick a lovely shot in the side, and oh, we have to reload. We only need one more shell. Isn't there just a loose shell hanging around? Come on, Mr. Loader. Don't load them not all four. Just one. One is all I need. It's too late. So, time to charge across. Let's see what we can do. And we've got 3 tanks engaging the tank destroyer at the enemy cap. No idea where that... And it takes me a while to realise where the heavy is, and actually he's round to my right. It's the Black Prince. Auto aim 1, auto aim 2, and just to make sure. And that's when it's nice at the end of the game, when you've got your full health. You're in a position where if you've got 4 tanks coming up towards you, you could almost finish them off with a shell each.
We lost an ally.
So for some reason, we haven't taken out the tank destroyer in the enemy cap. So I'm heading in that direction. And, oh, hello, Artie. What are you doing over there? I would say that behind that hill you are somewhat exposed, sir. And we just need to get loaded. We're loaded. We're ready for Artie. Will we get there first? Does he know we're coming? Oh, no, he hasn't got a clue.
Focus on this location.
There's 1. There's 2.
Our team destroyed an enemy.
And that's the game finished for us. A really effective game in the AMX, just by keeping our distance. So how did we do? 55,000 in a tier 9 game, lovely. 4,500 XP on the first win of the day. 4 tanks destroyed. 4,800 damage. Very happy with that. And we came top with double the damage of the second guy below us. We're on the south coast. It's a tier 10 game. We're a tier 9 French heavy tank. And this map will show you the limitations to the cannon on this tank. And I'm not talking firepower, I'm talking about the elevation and depression. The depression isn't too bad, it's not great, but you've got some. Elevation, you've virtually got none. So if you want to take this tank out, if you're above it, chances are it's not going to be able to shoot you. So we're going to use the 140 in front of us as our eyes. Because with this tank, even though it's a heavy, we can't be on the front line. We've got to play a supporting role and stay out of harm's way. So we're going to creep through the grapevine and just park up behind the rocks to the right here. Pretty much where the 140 is going. In fact, that's the spot. But I think he's aware of me being behind him, so he's going forward now. And he's going to roll over that hill, and we'll wait to see if he lights anything up. And nothing. So we're clear to go forward. Oh, something's taken a shot at him. And we've got an American tank destroyer, a tier 10 tank destroyer. So we're going to stay well out of the way of that. And we've got a rather stupid tier 10 E100 coming right up our bottom, not allowing us to retreat. So that tier 10 tank destroyer has rolled down to the right here somewhere. There he is. And dreadful first shot. all on auto aim here because the penetration is so good on this gun.
Penetration.
And had we not wasted that first shell, we could have finished him off quite happily. But we've done our bit, our team's finished him off for us. So we're going to just sit and reload for 33 seconds. Bearing in mind I'm carrying ventilation, so that's actually speeding the reload process up, believe it or not. Now this is where we have a problem. We're now down low, and if there's anything above us, we cannot shoot it. So there's an FV over the back there, and I just cannot get the elevation to stick a shot in the side. That was an ideal opportunity, but I can't do it. So I'm thinking about going up there, but because I know there's some action going on behind, chances are I'm going to get shot in the back. So I decide to curl round this way and see if I can do any flanking. It's a relatively uneventful game for me, this, but actually it doesn't score too bad in the end. Not quite sure how, but it does. So, German Speerpanzer at the top has spotted me. Again, I can't shoot him, he's too high. But fortunately, he doesn't know that. But I am very wary of him. So I'm thinking about going up to the left here to get some height, so I can take out that Speerpanzer. See, he keeps rolling up, but there's no way I can shoot him. My cannon will not go that high, it's so frustrating. Just won't do it. Alright, well he's just bollocksed up his first shot. We've got one in. We've got two in. We get three in and we ammo rack him. And that's probably just as well, because if we hadn't ammo racked him, I don't think our fourth shot was enough to finish him off. And that's where you've got to be careful with this tank. You've got 1600 worth of damage in your drum if every shot penetrates and goes in, and that's not always enough to take an entire tank's health. So if you end up one-on-one and the other tank's got full health, chances are you're going to be in trouble, because you're going to unload your clip, he's not going to die, and you're going to have to run away for 33 seconds while you reload, and he's going to follow you. So pick your targets carefully. So we've got a tank destroyer behind us. He gets a shot in. We can't quite get a shot on him, but our team finishes him off. So, we didn't do an awful lot in that game. We didn't do too bad. We took a tank out. We got 6 penetrating hits. But we got 43,000 and 1,800 straight XP. So actually, that's quite a good little result. But it does show the limitations to this tank and how careful you have to be when choosing your opponents.